Well, hello there. Today I intend to provide you with the ultimate character creation guide for Daggerheart in human history. I have 20 years of TTRPGs, and Daggerheart is my favorite to date. Welcome. It is a wonderful world. We shall follow the overall general directions from the core book, but I will give you a personal overview over each step. I will also explain how to safely homebrew in a balanced way your GM probably will allow. And first we must talk about the Void. The Void is the place where Daggerheart tested out all their new ideas. That stuff is usually cool, but it's not balanced yet, so we're not touching that. Everything you need is provided for free. The basic rule set, the character sheets, and even the cards. Yeah, Daggerheart is that good in marketing themselves. I'm providing the links in the description. Sounds good? So buckle up. This one will be tip. If you are the GM of this game, I highly recommend scheduling a day just for Session 0. If you are not the GM, I highly recommend sending this video to him or her. A Session 0 is where the players set expectations and limits. Like, if you have arachnophobia, the GM shouldn't put any spiders in the game. I mean, I'm sure the narrative can go on without them. But for our subject, the Session 0 is most important to get to know each other characters. You see, when you're playing any TTRPG, not just Daggerheart, you should see yourself and your fellow players as directors in an upcoming series. Trust me, it's not worthy to have secrets between players. I mean, your character could have a dark secret, but every other player should be aligned with that. The players should know the general direction this narrative is going, although their characters do not. Remember, those people are not your enemies. You are in this together to make a nice, memorable narrative. If you're a player, you're not here to surprise anyone. That's the job of the GM. Unless it's a short game like a one-shot. In that case, forget everything I just said. So, I'm assuming your GM aligned expectations with you guys. You know the tone and the setting. This is a lengthy hobby. Everyone should know what they're listed for. And now that we know what to expect from this show, it's time to make our protagonists. As we follow along, I will go through with my fresh character to set as an example. Shall we? First thing you gotta choose is your character class. That's what your character do. More than a profession, it's a way of life. It will define your skill set and your general defense, and in most cases, how people see you. For example, it's natural to assume a wizard is the most intelligent person in the room, or the warrior is the best suited for a fight, as it is natural to get suspicious of any rogues. And here we got a deeper choice. You will also choose your subclass, getting to choose between two ways of living your class fantasy. There are 9 core classes, which makes for 18 subclasses. We got the bard with troubadour or wordsmith. You can specialize in songs or words. We got the druid as a warden of elements or warden of renewal. You get to control the fury of nature or its healing powers. We got the guardian with steward or vengeance. You could go all defense, but sometimes the best defense is offense. You could be the ranger as a beastbound as a wayfinder. Yeah, you got to have your own Pikachu. Neither that, or you are Aragorn or Geralt of Rivia, like an unstoppable lone wolf. As a rogue, you can be a Nightwalker or the Syndicate. That's mean going all in your edgelord stuff or having a whole lot of connections. You could be a Seraph, as a Winged Sentinel or a Divine Wielder. Both are sacred people vowing to heal and defend their allies, but one is a literal angel, the other one has a magical weapon. You could be a sorcerer of primal origin or elemental origin. A sorcerer is a natural spellcaster. As a primal origin, you get this magic flowing through your veins. As an elemental origin, you get to choose one element, and that element flows through your veins. You could be a warrior with a Call of the Brave or a Call of the Slayer. One of them is a brave strategist. The other one, well, hits really hard. And finally, you can be a wizard, from the School of Knowledge or the School of War. A wizard studied his magic. One of them studied for the sake of knowledge. The other one studied for other reasons. Okay, here's a tip. You should go for what makes you happy. But if it's your first time and you're insecure, the simplest option is the warrior with the Call of the Slayer. You just have less stuff to think about. And since we're here, the most complex one is the wizard from the School of Knowledge. For the same reason, you have a lot of stuff to think about. They are the most versatile. But really, this is not a competitive game. Don't fret too much on this stuff. You're just here to enjoy the narrative and your time with your friends. You probably couldn't tell, but I'm more a spellcaster kind of guy. So my example character will be a wizard. And as much as I like having options, I don't need so many of them. So I'll be practical and go with the School of War. For my skills I get Battle Mage, that gives me 1 more hit point, simple enough. And Face Your Fear, whenever I succeed in an attack roll with fear, I get to do a whole lot of damage. And fun trivia, that's not just with magic. I could do that with a brick. If you are into a long campaign, each one of the subclasses can be upgraded as you level up. You get more skills that usually build up on the ones you already got. And remember, if you still don't have the game, you have free access from the cards in the Daggerheart site. You just don't get the illustrations, which are great. But hey, a man's gotta make a living. Once you pick up your class, you can use a specific spreadsheet for that. The spreadsheet comes with predefined hit points, evasion, class feature, and a hope feature, something to spend when you're hoarding too much hope. For our example, my wizard will have Not This Time as a hope feature. For 3 hope, I can force an adversary to reroll an attack or damage roll. And my class feature will be Prestidigitation, some funny little magic tricks, so I can play around mostly for roleplay purpose. I also get Strange Patterns. This allows me to choose a number, and whenever I get this number on dice, I get to gain a hope or clear a stress. I will pick 1, so whenever I get a disastrous roll, I have something to be happy about and never will be truly miserable. Here's where you get more than you asked for. What if I want something else? What if these 18 possibilities aren't enough for me? As of right now, you probably noticed each class has 2 domains. Those will define your skills pool of options. Okay, unless you multi-class. In this case, you have a limited 30 option. But maybe you didn't vibe with the ones available. As of in our example, a wizard gets the Codex domain for versatile magic options and the Splendor domain for heal and buff options. Maybe you're not into supporting your party, you want to be a wizard, but you don't want to heal anyone? What if I want to use the Codex and Arcana domains? Both about magic, I want to be an all-in magical wizard. Or even the Codex and Bone domain, about martial prowess. I want to be a martial trained wizard! Well, if that's your case, I got you covered. But here we're entering Homebrew territory. You will need your GM approval to use that. Might as well send him or her at least this chapter. And if the core book is enough for you, you can skip for the next chapter. You see, changing domains is not so simple as it looks. Each class comes with its own features and set of defensive skills. There's a balanced reason for the Guardian to have 7 HP and the Wizard just 5. I found on Reddit a post from the user PlayswithFIRE. I'll drop the link on a pinned comment if you want to check it out, where he dissects each hit point or evasion values from each domain, so we can Frankenstein them together and get a whole new class. Still, those does not take into account the class features and hope feature. So it could still feel unbalanced, and your GM does have total authority to nerf you midway. Understand something, balance is important, so the other players don't feel like extras in your story. You are playing this together. So, here's the method. The secret to safely homebrewing is starting with something that already exists. This way you have less of a chance of messing up the balance. First, you pick a base class with hope features and class features that you would like to use. As of today, there are no artificer. As of today, there's no artificer in Daggerheart, so why don't we make one? In our method, I could use the ranger subclass Beastbound and have a robot companion. There is no real balance impact in changing the spellcast trait. So instead of agility, we could use knowledge. Now I pick both domain decks. Codex feels like an obvious choice for an artificer. For the second deck, I'm imagining a guy with guns and bombs, so why not go with the blade domain, so he'll have buffed attacks. If we use this chart, we know our artificer has 5 HP and 10 evasion, and we are ready to go. Now, Daggerheart provides a card creator for free, where you can mess around and do your own homebrew. Link in the description. And lo and behold, the Mecha Bound. I got the Beastbound card, reflavored the text, and chose 2 different domains. I even can have my own image and print the card to use in my home game. For all intents and purposes, we have the Ranger Hope feature and class features, but we have different numbers for evasion and hit points, so we use a generic spreadsheet for this character. Homebrew allows for infinite freedom, but always remember, it's always up to the GM to allow this kind of stuff. Okay, so let's get back on track. Once you got your class figured out, it's time to give format to your character. Now we choose our heritage. That means your ancestry, same as race or species, and your community, a background feature. For ancestries, you have 18 choice. Each one of them will give you 2 features. We got the Clank, as in a robot. We got Dracona, as in Dragonborn. We got Dwarfs, as in, well, dwarves. We got elves. Okay, you got the idea. We got fairies, mostly represented the size of gnomes with insectoid features, but you could vary. We got fauns. Can you say this one is printed? My dog swallowed the original one. We got firbolgs. Those are cows. We got fungril. Those are mushrooms. We got galapa. Those are turtles. We got giants. We're talking 3 meters high. And those are the simplest options because both features are passives, you don't have to think about. We got goblins. Yeah, those are goblins. We got hobbits. Oh, I said hobbits, I meant halflings. We got humans. Duh. We got infernis, as in tiefling, half demons. We got Katari, as in tabaxi. Yeah, if you hadn't noticed, we got space for furries. We got orcs. We got ribbits. Yeah, those are frogs. And we got simia. Those are monkeys. What? You're still not satisfied? Okay. I can respect a refined taste. You can also have a mixed ancestry. A half-blood, if you will. And this is not homebrew. That's a core rule. For that, you must necessarily choose the first feature of an ancestry and the second feature of another. Got that right? You cannot choose both first features, neither both second features. And if the setting allows for that, you could even reflavor the result to another kind of ancestry. Okay, that's kind of homebrew. You need your GM approval. For instance, for our wizard, I mixed ribbit and fairies. It could be a flying frog, but that's not what I have in mind. I'm assuming my GM doesn't have anything against elementals on his or her setting. I'm picturing a vapor elemental trapped in this reality. Basically, a talking cloud with glasses. He would be amphibious and have the capacity to fly. Second part of your heritage is community. Community is a background feature derived from how your character was raised up. The core rulebook gives us 9 options. Highborn, as in you're rich. Loreborn, as in you're smart. Orderborn, as in you have a code of honor. Ridgeborn, as in you know how to survive out there. Seaborn, as in you get to recognize the flow of destiny as the tides of the sea and can take advantage of that. Slyborn, as in you're a criminal. Underborn, as in you lived in the dark. Wonderborn, as in you were always prepared. And Wildborn, as in you can move silently. Oh, come on, that makes sense. Darringtonpress intend to come up with different options, but so far those 9 are enough for us to work with. They're vague enough to account for an immense variety of characters. And as always, you can reflavor if your GM allows it. For our character, Loreborn will be good enough. I'll just reflavor so he gets this knowledge from traveling a lot and not by studying. Now get your character traits. Those are 6. Agility, strength, finesse, instinct, presence, and knowledge. The process is easier than it looks. You'll pick one of them to be your best trait. One of them will be your worst trait. 2 of them will be above average, and 2 of them will be neutral, at average. For your best trait, most of the time it's an obvious choice. You should go with your spellcast trait in your subclass card. This is the one you use for your spells. If you got a martial class without a spellcast trait, I recommend you first choose your main weapon and then you come back here to choose your main trait. In this case, your weapon will be your main source of damage, so you should pick a trait suited for that weapon. And mechanically speaking, that's it. You're good. Look at you, already mastering the nerdy arts. I'm so proud of you. For real though, the one mechanically relevant trait is the one you use for your spellcast or your main weapon. All the other options are mainly about how you picture your character. Yes, they will be relevant, but the challenges presented along the way will be mostly varied enough so you don't have to pick a optimized one. I can't know which one will be more important in your journey, and I think that's neat. For a Vapor Wizard, we're picking knowledge as its main trait. For the dump trait, as we usually call the worst one, we'll go with strength. I mean, he's mostly gas. I picture him as a distinct and charming fellow, so he'll be above average in finesse and presence. And for the neutral ones, it leaves us with agility and instinct. By now, it should be easy to picture your character. You should see a lot of details automatically filling in the blanks. Okay, this one will be quick. Stress is 6 by default. Evasion and hit points come with your class, but use a pencil and be gentle. There are some equipments and skills that can change those. Now we got to your equipment. DH has no class limitations for your equipment. Each weapon has an associated trait. I know you are a smart guy or girl, so you already concluded you should pick your +2 or at least your +1 trait as your weapon of choice. There's a list of weapons to choose from, and if you have a spellcast trait, that means you can also choose from the magic weapon list. If your weapon of choice happens to be one-handed, you can also choose a secondary weapon to go along with it. Don't sweat too much with those secondary weapons traits. You probably won't hit with them. The main importance here is the feature they provide. For instance, the shields gives you extra armor slots. If you lost your main weapon and are hitting with your shield, things are not looking good already. And remember, you could follow stereotypes or throw them out the window. You could be a sorcerer with a shield, you do you. For a Vapor Wizard, I will go with a two-handed magic weapon. The scepter sounds cool and sophisticated. Presence is not his main trait, but it got a +1. That is good enough. I should do most of my damage with spells anyway. Plus, it got a versatile feature. It means if the enemy gets too close, I could still take them by surprise. For a starting character, armors are pretty straightforward. We have 4 options. You can choose the gamesession one, that gives you less cover but more evasion, the full plate one that gives you more defense and less evasion, or you could choose leather or chainmail, they are somewhere between those two. Again, that's up to you and the character you're creating. For a Vapor Wizard, I'll go with Gambeson to capitalize on his high evasion. I could go with an in-between option like leather, but I'm not a coward. And to pack it up, everyone got a torch, a 15 meters rope, that would be 50 feet if you still measure things with your body parts. Basic supplies. The game just assumes you're an experienced traveler and have everything you need in your backpack. And 1 handful of gold. Yeah, that's how we count currency in the core rules. No one cares how many coins there are, as long as they fit in 1 hand. Now you have 2 choices. First, pick between 1 minor health potion or 1 minor stamina potion. Those recover 1d4 hit points or stress, respectively. By now you should have some cards in your hand. Take a look at them and at your spreadsheet. If you have a lot of skills that spend stress, maybe you should pick the stamina potion. If not, you pick the health potion. In any case, you can never go wrong with a health potion. For a wizard, I'll pick the stamina potion. The flight feature marks stress, and I intend to abuse that one. And each class has a flavorful item to pick. Those are mechanically worthless, but they are an invitation for you or your GM to come up with hooks for the narrative. And that's way more valuable. The ones presented in the sheets are good enough, but you can talk with your GM and come up with a different one as well. Do not underestimate those narrative hooks. This is a narrative game after all. For a wizard, the options are a funny little pet or a book he's trying to translate. I shall go with the book. It would be a book from an old acquaintance, a wizard woman. I already have a story in mind, we'll get to that. Now we get your skill or spell choices. Each class has 2 domains, or spell decks, from where you get your skills. At level 1, each domain has 3 choices. You can pick 2, and they can be from the same domain or from different ones. As you level up, you will get to pick more cards. Maybe you share a domain with another party member. If that's the case, the book recommends you guys talk it out and choose different skills. This way, you both have your time to shine. But if you guys are committed to pick the same skill, you can print another copy. For our example, I am a wizard, so I'll have the Codex and Splendor domain. I do not intend to be a healer, I'll let someone else fill this role. There is always someone. I could pick both from Codex domain, but there is one card that got my attention. Even if I don't wanna heal, I picture this character as a supportive kind of guy, serving the rest of the party as a kind of butler. So Reassurance sounds like a good choice. It allows me to give some assistance and allows another player to reroll an action. Useful and flavorful, as it should be. For the other card, I'm going with the Codex domain. Codex has this grimoire mechanic, where each card gives us 2 or 3 options of spells, so we got a lot of variety. This makes wizards and bards that use the Codex domain very versatile. I picked Book of Ava, cause I like to flavor things up. The Power Push spell could be flavored as a powerful air current. The other spells are about defense and summoning an ice spike. Both quite alright for a magical guy made of clouds. I mean, it makes sense in my head. Experiences define what skill set your character has. Up to this point, you could have a practical mindset and choose stuff based solely on mechanics and numbers. But now things get real. And by real I mean narrative and completely fictional. Here you have to come up with 2 different experiences your character has. Whenever you make a roll that is clearly connected to one of those, you can spend a hope and get a nice bonus to that roll. Choosing your experience is an open exercise. I highly recommend the rule someone somewhere to create your experience. Someone is for what your character did or was. It could be a profession or a title, like a sailor, a blacksmith, or even the mayor. This will give you a set of reasonable skills to work with. Somewhere is the place or organization your character fulfilled that role, like a city, a guild, or even a country. This will be relevant as your GM can decide you know some information because of this background. And to come up with that, you need to imagine who your character really is. Here, its story begins to show, and yes, it can be a combat-related experience that gives you bonuses in your attacks. After all, in Daggerheart, a social encounter can be as relevant as a combat encounter, if not more. Besides someone somewhere, the book also encourages the use of adjectives, like charming or resilient, and vague phrases, like no one left behind or live, laugh, love. I personally do not recommend the latter. Trust me, you spend more time discussing what it means than actually playing the game. I mean, what this is not a negotiation even supposed to mean. Someone somewhere is well-rounded. Someone is direct enough, and somewhere is broad enough, so the experience can be used in clear and useful situations. Now let's see what we can do with our Vapor Wizard. I visualized him as an elemental summoned by a wizard woman decades ago. This woman summoned him from his elemental plane to accomplish some task here. The task to defend a magical flying ship. But then they got separated, and since then she's nowhere to be found. If the summoner wizard dies, he should be back to his original plane. So he knows she's still alive, maybe magically locked up. But that is long ago, and he never found his summoner. So he keeps fulfilling his original task indefinitely, tied to the ship. This specific character is for a Spelljammer setting I intend to play. A kind of narrative about flying magical ship through space. So he's been serving in this magical ship for decades, as groups of adventurers come and go. He's a defender, the butler, the navigator. But first of all, a loyal and elite servant, never knowing when his duty will come to an end. Nice, huh? It's a well-lived character with a good hook for the GM to work with. Okay, now we know the character. Let's go back to the experiences. I shall work with someone somewhere for the first one. He shall be a flying ship navigator. As a navigator, I could use his experience for traveling situations or even emergencies. And as a flying ship crew, I could justify some knowledge and experience he already has. Okay, for the sake of a diverse example, I shall not use someone somewhere for the second one. I'll work with something simple and straight to the point. Home management. For his butler skills through the years, he will mostly use this experience to help the crew in day-to-day experiences, and they are comprehensive enough for small tasks as my GM sees fit. We all know a good cup of coffee could save the day. Okay, as a forever GM, this is my favorite part. Each class sheet comes with 3 background questions and 3 connections questions. The background questions are about your character. I strongly recommend you to answer at least one of them, if not all 3. And remember, you can tweak and change those questions with your GM. The connection questions are to be made to your fellow players. Again, I recommend making at least one of them, if not all 3. And again, you can tweak those questions with the help of your GM. And here's a golden tip: tattoo this on your brain. People won't love your character because it's cool. They will love your character because he has cool interactions with their characters. The edgy rogue who lost his parents and sits by the corner to contemplate his sadness can be cool and all, but he's awesome when he cooks for the tired seraph who healed him in the last battle. Or, in a moment of vulnerability, he discreetly asks the warrior, how can he be so brave? Use those connection questions to invest in those relationships. Those set the stage for the GM and the other players, and you'll see how cool those stars will get to be. Combined, this background and connection questions are great for the GM. They are narrative hooks. This makes a difference between a generic plot story and a personal and cool experience with your characters. Okay, so let's see our wizard background questions. The first one is, what responsibilities did your community once count on you for? And how did you let them down? Okay, well, Red got that. It was when he first was summoned. He had a task to defend the ship and he failed on that. All the crew was slaughtered and the wizard woman captured. Since this happened, he's been studying the magical arts, intending to never let it happen again. For our character's sake, I understand he never had a conscience before being summoned, so he enjoys being here in the material world. Next question, you spent your life going after an object or book of great significance. What is it? Well, here we could make a little tweak, and we actually spent our life looking for someone, the summoner, so we can save her and maybe come back home. After all this time, does he really want to come back? And there's another question about a rival, but I chose not to answer that one. I believe we have enough hooks to work with. About the connections, let's remember we are supposed to make these questions to another player, but for the sake of this exercise, let's explore them. What favor have I asked you that you are not sure you can fulfill? Well, if I talk to the other players, I can make this question to the captain. I asked him if he can look for the lost summoner. Why not? And he's not sure if she's even alive. Next question, what weird hobby or fascination do we share? That's awesome. Before coming to this world, our character barely had a conscience, so he's basically an alien here. He can have a lot of weird fascinations, but this one should be answered by another player. God knows there will be strange characters at that ship. And the next is another one that can generate a great connection. What secret about yourself have you revealed only to me? That would be nice, some crew member that trusted our alien character after all. Okay, we're almost there, now we just need a name. For our elemental wizard, I believe Nimbus is perfect. As in a cumulus nimbus, the cloud. And last but not least, an image of your character. Even if you're not printing your own cards, you should have an image to show the other players, so they have a nice mental image of your character. Much as my magically bound character, as a YouTuber, I'm bound to only use public domain images. But you can use whatever you want in your home game. Well, that's it for today. I hope this answered your main doubts and inspired you to create your own characters. If you are into Daggerheart and want to see more related stuff, consider subscribing to the channel. And if this video helped you create a character in any way, consider sharing in the comments. I will read all of them, and I would love to see what you've done. But for now, thank you for your time. It's highly valuable and appreciated.